Hey, Facebook friends and family. This is Monica Henderson here with Mink Life Motivation, and I am so excited. We are in week 5 of our live show. So let's get this party started, shall we? So I just wanted to share you a little bit about Mink Life Motivation. Mink Life Motivation is a personal business, brand, and network development company. And our primary goal is to get motivated, stay inspired, for you to keep networking, and for you to share knowledge or gain knowledge. And that is what Mink stands for. And every week we come together for you every single week to help you live a life designed by you for you. So when you design this life, we want it to be healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. So every week we're coming to you with Mink Life Motivation Live. Every single time I get nervous, guys. It's so crazy. Okay, so I am so excited to get into this. So let's do this. This week, we have some juicy topics for you. And our question of the week is, how do we create work-life harmony? And we're going to do that this week by really examining and calibrating your life. So how are we going to do that? We're going to focus this week on romantic partnerships. Yes, romantic partnerships. It's going to get spicy in here. And I am so excited about this topic because we sometimes don't realize how important those romantic partnerships are, but it is a part of your 6 key roles to your life. In our life calibrator at Mink Life Motivation, we talk about self, lifestyle, career, romantic partnerships, nurturing, and tribe. So it's time to get motivated. I hope you're ready for this. This month, we are skipping a little bit because it's almost September, but every month we bring you a new theme of the month. And this month is coming from the Power of 6. It's our number two of our 6 basic rights. And that is, you have the right to build authentic relationships. So every week anytime we do a course, we have a quote, and the quote is, to whom you attach your life can either make or break you. So choose wisely. With that, and to get into this juicy topic, I have 3 dynamic motivators this week. They are our panel of professional support experts, and Andrea Goertz is the founder of Wellbeing and Worth. She's an area director for Team Referral Network, and she is also a Mink Life Motivator licensed trainer. We have Connie Porturo, and she's a Pilates master teacher and the owner of Absolute Pilates Upstairs. And she's also a Mink Life Motivation affiliate. And last but not least, we have Kat Knuznik. Messed it up, even though I practiced. And she is a healing and joy connector and owner of Courageously You. I am so excited to bring all of them on bring you on. I'm going to have you answer this juicy question, which is, how important is having strong, authentic relationships with a romantic partner been to you? So let's get into the topic, ladies. How are you guys doing today? Andrea, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, well, it's a magical Monday here at Mink Life Motivation. It's great. This, of course, during the training in the Life Calibrator is always a great, juicy topic. And so I can't wait with our 2 guests today to sort of explore it. And so I'm tickled. So am I to start with my explanation of the question?
You sure can. How has it been to you?
Well, I'm at Wellbeing and Worth as that Thrive strategist. Having a harmonious life is tantamount to personal and business success, right? And
Hmm.
so I definitely feel like there's great fortune in having a strong, authentic, romantic partnership with a partner, because that just adds some emotional security to you as a person. So that
Hmm.
security then, outflows to your clients and your customers. So that's where I think that connection to that romantic self is so important. And so,
Yeah.
and of course, sharing it with another person. So,
Well, that and if anybody would know, she does because she's been married for 25 years.
no, it's going to be 22 in
22.
yeah, 22.
22 years of marriage. Hashtag goals, right?
It's been work, but worth it. Like, yeah, it's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. And Connie, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, uh, I love this question. I love this question. My husband and I have celebrated 2 months ago our 30th anniversary. And we celebrated, we were supposed to be in Italy, but obviously we weren't there. So we went to our backyard. I had a lovely Italian dinner, but my husband has been a driving force behind my success. First of all, the one who turned me on to Pilates. He's like, this is something you should do. And second of all, he's been so supportive. And, I had young children when I started this career. And, through all of this craziness, he has just been truly a rock and my silent partner in my business and a great friend. And, we have a lot of fun together and try to find the fun. That's, I think, a huge thing. Finding the fun with someone else. Yes, a relationship takes work. It's up and down, but finding the fun and the joy and the sex, let's start right there. It's important. It makes everything worthwhile. I think that's it. In these crazy times, you really have to find what's the juice, where's the joy that's really going to keep pushing you forward.
Absolutely. Okay. And we have Kat. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting. This topic is it's good and
Mm.
it's very important. I know for myself, I've been with my husband now for 22 years and um I'm going through a change, actually a career change. I worked in the nonprofit sector and then I worked for a mortgage company, but I'm been working on my own company and he's been instrumental in encouraging me to follow my dreams, be there for me. And I just absolutely really love that because I do have two children. They're school age kids. We had children later in life, and I would not be able to do what I'm doing without having that partner that's in my life rooting for me on the sidelines, even to the point where he is an IT geek. So he's building all the website and learning all of that kind of stuff and doing all of, wanting to update all the pictures and everything. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, hallelujah. I do not have to do this for my business. And I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I am the baby of married folk on this, in that I've only been married for 6 years. But how my husband and I met was actually at a business mixer. And I didn't actually want to date him when I met him. I thought he was a really nice guy, right? But we were at this mixer, we shut the place down, lights went, like they were turning the lights off on us, and we were just talking about our dreams, and he was going on and on about how he wanted to be a real estate agent, and I was going on and on about how I wanted to take over the world. And at the end of I know, right? And then at the end of the conversation, I really just wanted to be with him, be a friend to him so that I could help him become that realtor. And it turns out he just thought I was a really cool person and he really wanted to help me as well. And so our union actually came from this business connection of like aspirations that we really wanted to kind of help each other with. Turns out he's really cute and totally my type, and, and all those other things. But that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first connection. So he too has been a grounding force for me, and he pushed me into Mink Life Motivation. I was literally trying to avoid it at all cost. I was running like the Dickens in the other direction, and he pushed me too. So a lot like a lot of you, my husband has been really kind of pivotal in this even being in existence. So that's really cool. Well, I'm so excited because this is going to be a fun time. I mean, this is just the beginning of the conversation, so I can't even wait until we get to the connected conversations down the line. But every week, it was important to me when we created this program to make sure that we shared the backstories behind having an entrepreneurial journey. And so this week, I am extremely proud to bring you our entrepreneurial journey. And this, I don't even know how to describe it. Her tenacity and her just vivaciousness made me instantly connect to her when I had a conversation with her. And so I am super excited, if I can get my tech to work properly, guys. I am super excited to help you stay inspired by having a having a entrepreneurial journey featuring Connie, as she is the master Pilates teacher. She is the owner of Pilates Absolute Pilates Upstairs, and she is also one of our Mink Life Motivation affiliates. I am super excited to have her share her entrepreneurial story with you. So Connie, can you just share your like how you came into all of this and take it away?
Absolutely. Monica, thank you so much for the time and for this incredible creativity that you've inspired all of this relationship. So my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 4 years old. And I knew what I wanted from the age of 4. I was driven. I would do whatever it took. And I was a dancer. And that took me all throughout until I went to college. I got into the school of my dreams, which was New York University Tisch School of the Arts. And I worked hard to get there. And so I did whatever it took. I worked hard and I was driven. And I think that's what an entrepreneur is and does. So I got there freshman year and I started to have this little feeling of pain. But you know, you're 18 years old, you dance 8 hours a day. Who doesn't have pain? So I totally ignored it. And isn't that true for all of us, right? Something happens, especially with pain, and we're like, oh, that's going to go away. And we let it go. And that's what happened. I let it go. So by the end of my sophomore year, I was barely walking. I was in excruciating pain. And again, I thought that's part of what being a dancer was. But one of the teachers pulled me aside and was like, you need to go see a doctor. I did. I saw one of the top surgeons in New York, and he said to me, basically, you have the bones of a 60-year-old woman, and there is no way you're going to be a dancer. And I remember that feeling of walking out into the streets of New York, and it was like in a movie, you know, where everyone's rushing by you, and I was frozen in time. And I truly had no idea what I was going to do. I was driven until that point, and then all of a sudden, I had nothing. So I had to pivot. And in my pivot, I had been seeing a massage therapist because I had headaches. And he said to me one day, he said, you know, you'd be really good at this work. You have an incredible knowledge about the body. And he told me this story and I said, okay. And so I became a massage therapist. And again, I was like, yes, I could see, because from the age of 4, I could see what was going on in people's bodies. It's kind of my superpower. And so I worked with dancers mostly. I was very lucky to work on Broadway with a lot of the dancers and a lot of the shows. At that time, it was Cats and 42nd Street. And I would get dancers back out on the road because most of them were touring so much, exercises that they could do. And I did that for a long time, but I was always kind of missing something. I just didn't know what it was. And I met my husband, and he was in LA and I was in New York, and we decided on LA as our home, came out here, and I had 2 beautiful children. And I, again, felt that feeling after my daughter that I just had something more to do in this world. And I really didn't know what it was. And it was my husband that brought the world of Pilates to me. He said, you know what? This is everything you do. I think you'd be fantastic at it. And so I found my way to a teacher. I did find my home. In fact, I did find everything I wanted that I knew when I was a young dancer. I was driven. I was goal oriented. I did whatever it took. I was up at 5 a.m. studying my anatomy. I was in there early so I could get home to my kids in the afternoon and pick them up from school. I started a 6 a.m. class. I started working there. I was older. I was in my 40s at that time, and everyone else was really young. And so I knew I could see the world open up in front of me and everything I wanted. 14 years ago, I bought a Pilates studio, one that I had been teaching in, and it has been the greatest journey of my life. Sometimes the most difficult journey, but the greatest journey of my life. And 5.5 months ago, the whole world stopped, right? So I had to pivot again. And I felt I had to give something to my community, my Pilates community. And I just didn't know what to do, but I got the idea of setting up text daily workouts that would go to their phone, 3 to 5 minutes, and inspiration and meditation. And I have done that for the past 5.5 months. And then I set up a virtual Pilates studio. And for the past 5.5 months, been teaching classes. And the one thing that clicked in my brain, so always listen to your gut, is I pushed the record button. And so I have over 75 videos. I have about 120 daily doses of health, and I have my meditations and myofascial release exercises. And I have created Pivot again, my new membership site called Absolutely Grounded. So it's a place where you can work out anytime from the comfort of your own home. And it's really what excites me. It's my latest adventure. And I have really enjoyed all of my pivots. I know there'll be many more pivots to come, but it has been a great, great journey.
That is like, well, one, I love that you say pivot, right? Because that pivot is so important. And, you know, motivators, if you guys want to hop in this a part of the conversation too, feel free. But the pivot is the part that is the hardest part. And we always talk about in Mink Life Motivation, in the Power of Six, right? That we have a 6-year rule, and that part where things decline, right? Mm-hmm. Or they shift is actually the most important part of the cycle of growth. Because if it was comfortable, you would have never done anything different, right?
Right.
And so the fact that you identified that, wait, these pivots are good, right? And it just means I got to go in a different direction is super useful. So those of you who are watching this, if you take nothing else from that story, understanding that sometimes when things go wrong, right? I would say sometimes things have to fall apart to be put back together better. The pivot is really crucial in really kind of getting you to the next phase of everything that you're doing. Did either of the other motivators have anything to say, Andrea?
No, I was totally excited by your story, especially the part when you got to the membership site. I'm like, yes, that's what a Mink Life Motivator does, because you took lemons and made, like, you know, fancy Italian lemonade, you know, like that's so wonderful. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on that list. I want to be in that class. No, I know it's a site. I just have to go join, because I was like, oh, this would be perfect for my students who are like, I can't exercise alone. I'm like, you don't have to. So no, that just sounds delicious. And what a nice new revenue stream for you. Like, I'm like, brava, brava, brava. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
It was really inspiring and just awesome. So
yeah, I really love that, you know, again, that word pivot, but I love that you, there are some core things that have grounded you throughout your whole life. I love that you said, you know, you're focused, you're, you know, you're driven, you had a lot of drive, and just even the fact that you were determined, right? And you always had a schedule and stuff like that, but having those core things helped you also to be able to make those shifts and make those pivots in your life. And you mentioned that you kept on consistently doing that every time you pivoted. You went back to some of those points. So I think that's the biggest part about entrepreneurialism is you need to be consistent. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's allowing then the flow still to continue with a different focus or shift. So that was really awesome. And I really appreciate you sharing that. That was great. Yay. And I love that you got bold and did all those videos. Yeah, right on.
I love it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's so many lessons that people can learn from your story alone. And you know, it just, it's so important for right now when we, like you said, like the world got sat down. I always say we got a collective timeout, right? And so
That's for
for
sure.
it's like everyone got sent to their rooms, but for you to have taken this opportunity to kind of lead the way, to show kind of what it looks like to pivot, and to pivot fabulously is fantastic. So I hope people are truly inspired by your story. I know I am. It resonates completely with me. So I, really love all that we are kind of talking about in this inspiration of it all. But I want us to keep networking because, again, we have these fabulous women who have different levels of interest in this particular topic, right? And I know a lot of people say, well, you're talking to business owners about love, lust, and intimacy. And the curiosity is like, why this topic? And so I wanted to have this connected conversation with you experts because I think people sometimes underestimate how important the romantic relationship can play a part in who you are and your business and all those things. And so that's why it's really important for us to have these conversations. And so the first question that I would like to ask you, I'm going to ask you the 3 questions. I'm going to just throw them all out there and then we'll just like move these slides out and just talk. I think that is the most fun part. So I want you to think about like why having an authentic love relationship is so important to someone who's trying to grow a business. I also want you to think about how does sexual attraction play a part of a romantic partnership? And Connie politely alluded to that right off the top of this conversation, so I'm excited. And then also, what can a business owner do to increase emotional intimacy in a love relationship? Especially during these times, I want to add that as an extra note. So let's dive in there. We started with Andrea, and so like Andrea, why is this romantic partner relationship so important?
Well, all 3 questions point to probably 3 of the main reasons why. Emotional intimacy, sexual attraction, just because energetically, we're wired this way, but also what the endorphins and all that from a real nerd way of putting it, the science way. And then just the reciprocal, we raise children to feel love and be loved and all these things. And we give that love so easily to children. It's so funny how something switches as we age, or when we have like the husband or the boyfriend, and we do weird things with that love relationship as opposed to freely expressing it, because that blockage, that lack of flow in the expression of love is just as damning, for lack of a better word, than we have to express that. It's just part of our nature, like to nurture and to care. And then to put it onto a love object is a blessing. It's one of those kind of miraculous things that just really enable us to live life fully and expressively. So I know I danced around all 3 of those questions, but really knowing what your love language is and how you express these things so you can give and receive, that whole giving and the reciprocation of all that is so integral to being a fully harmoniously grounded person. Like, I think balance is overrated. I don't know if I should say that in front of a Pilates person, but having just having your whole body harmoniously calibrated is way more important than, I like to say harmoniously just integrated. And so love is a big part of that. And emotional intimacy, by and large, is the next big part for me. Is like having that person who hears you despite your good days, bad days, there's no judgment, really helps give your neurons like some just grounding energy so you can show up, especially as 3 busy women with long-term marriages and things like that. A place for us to go, okay, we've given all day. I'd like to give here and be given another kind of energy to fill up my reserves to go back out there the next day. So
Absolutely. Connie?
I think that, just to dive right into it, sex is energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I work with people all day on their bodies. And I really want to say that your body is really meant to give you pleasure, both by the way it looks and by the way it feels when someone touches you. It is our innate right, and it is so important. And sometimes in our business head, we get like, we get so stuck in that. If you can put that aside and kind of jump into your body and the way it feels, and being with your partner, or if you don't have a partner, just being with yourself. It is so important. It's energy, and energy is around us constantly. And it's something that we really need to use and think about. Feeling sexy, feeling frisky, feeling fired up is a great thing. I'm telling you, nothing takes you further in your business than that feeling behind you in your head. Say, I got it going on. It really pushes you forward. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. We want to be women that are powerful, but that are sexy and vibrant, because the energy that you give off is amazing.
And magnetic. It attracts more.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So I knew she was
Exactly.
going to go on to the energy, because I'm like so with you on that, Connie. Like just having that connection to your body self is something, as raising daughters, I really want my girls to embrace their feminine energy. It's not something I can't be feminine, but just embrace their feminine, all their energies, including their feminine energy and sexual energy. It's so true. I like that. And of course,
I love that too. I mean, the whole, and I mean, in the end, when we're talking about energy and intimacy and everything else, there's body, but then there's also, getting out of your head and into your heart. And when we're talking about love, you're really talking about really getting into that heart space and out of your head space. And, for me, I'm a really passionate person. I'm probably the most passionate person in my family, my friends, and I'm a hugger. This whole COVID thing, it's like I miss hugging people and just loving on them, and having my family and having my significant other here. Like, I'll be honest, I have a few friends that live alone, and to know that they haven't been in contact with people for months, like it broke my heart a little bit, because I couldn't imagine not having my husband or my kids to hug, to hold, to be able to help me feel centered and just feel like a human being. We're meant to experience life through all of our senses, and to experience everything with heart and passion. And I love when you're saying the heat, because it's with that passion, right, that you get the heat. And and that's where the magic is, right? The magic's always in those embers and the fires, right? And you're like, ooh, yeah, let's go in there a little bit out and check it out. And that's where the fun is. And it just makes it so like juicy and delicious. And it just, makes everything, I don't know, always just so much more
alive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Alive. And you feel, and I think that's it. You feel alive. You feel alive. And when you think of that word alive, just being alive, it's like, it's all of our beings being present and being there.
Yeah, I think as business owners, we always think our business is it, and there's nothing else. But there was a few things that you guys had touched on that I thought was really important to pull out. The Mink Life Motivation was actually built on the pyramid of self-actualization, which is about the motivators of need, right? In the primary rung has sex, right? And human contact as the primary function of a human being. So the fact that you guys all pulled out like, hey, this sex part is super important, and why it's so hard for a lot of people in the coronavirus is, this quarantine and us being kind of social distance and all that is so important. But the other thing that we teach at Mink Life Motivation is that there's a counterbalance, right? And so there is you, mind, body, soul, and your counterbalance is that relationship, right? Because who you become as a human being, as a self-sustaining human being, is reflected in the eyes of a romantic partner, right? And depending on that romantic partner, it can make or break you, right? So if you have a romantic partner who sees the beauty in you, even when you don't see it in yourself, or you have a romantic partner who is pushing you to be better, even when you don't have it there, you're more likely to do it. But on the on the other side is if you have a romantic partner who is telling you you're not as good as you think you are, and is kind of taking away from all the things that you're building within yourself, it is just as detrimental as it is successful. And
Oh,
so as a
yes.
person who fought marriage my entire adult life, I mean, you on my wedding video, my best friend is seen saying, yeah, I remember when she used to say she was never, ever, 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 ever going to get married, right? And clearly married. What I had to come to realize was that it wasn't that I didn't want to be married, right? Because I was a really good girlfriend. I was an amazing girlfriend. But it was that I didn't want to be in a bad relationship. And so once I identified that I wanted to be in a stellar relationship that allowed me to be fully human as I am. And I found someone who just so happened to be exactly my type, bald head and all. It really kind of changed everything for me. I got everything I needed once I had that counterbalance to me. And the beautiful part is having someone to say, I'm scared, this is terrifying, I don't want to do this, as a business owner, is so pivotal. It's so pivotal to have someone to be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna suck at this real bad. And for him to be like, no, baby, you got this, to have that built in at home, coach, like that coach, that like cheerleader, that support system, is super beneficial. And so I have come to understand how important that counterbalance is as a strong, independent woman who don't need nobody. No, I don't need him, but I absolutely want him because I can go way further with him than I could without. And so it was just super important when I was creating this program to teach people that the reasons why, right? That it's necessary for your complete of a person to have a romantic partnership. And we call it romantic partnership because it's however you want to see yourself in that space, right? It's not specific to sex or your preferences or anything like that, but just having someone who can be there to catch your feelings in an intimate way. It's the only person outside of my child who knows exactly who I am when no one's looking, right? And to have someone to be able to see myself and see how I feel sexy reflected on someone else. And then also to have someone who really genuinely loves me and I can really, truly, genuinely love back. Those things are so important to all of this. So I am, I think it's a huge thing. So with that, we are all married, right? And so all the single people are checking out. They're like, okay, God, all these women are married, right? But we were all single once, right? And so when you were kind of trying to go through, the paces to get yourself together and do your things, what were some of the single experience that you may have had that you might want to offer some advice for some of our single people who are watching today?
Ooh, can we be like really frank?
You can.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
I
remember,
prefer it.
okay. I remember, when oh, this is going to sound terrible. I hope not. I'm thinking, ooh, am I oversharing? But I'm like, oh, I'm going to go for it. I remember in my 20s, there was a period of time where I had been in a relationship for quite a while, and I wasn't in one anymore. And I really sat back and I thought, it was the summer, and I'm like, us girls, I loved dancing, so we were clubbing. I mean, we were definitely going to clubs, and I'm not a big drinker, never have been, but I mean, me and the dance floor, listen to that music go, and we
Yes.
were doing that all summer. My thing was, I know this sounds funny, but I just wanted to get confidence, right? So we would walk in, and I would just scan the room, and I'd be like, that guy there, I'm going to have him by the end of the night, meaning that I'm going to talk with him. We're going to chat it up. And I did that the whole summer, just to be confident, throwing myself out there, talking to people, and people that I might not have felt like I was enough to be around. Maybe
Mhm.
I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't cute enough. I wasn't this enough. And I was like, my mindset was more like, no, I am enough. I'm going to just talk from my heart and be myself. And I'm going to talk to these people, even though I think they're out of my league or whatever. And it was the most fun I ever had. And I think, relationships, when you're single, it's not about necessarily finding that right person right away. It's about getting to know people and having fun getting to know them so that you can figure out what you really want,
Mhm.
So, I mean, that was like probably the best learning lesson I could have allowed myself, is to let go of my own not enough, my own tapes, and let go with the flow and have fun, and it was, I mean, just talking with people, getting to know people and everything else. I think about it now, and it helped shape me. It helped to define what it is that I wanted in someone and what I didn't want. And it really was a great exercise.
Well, what's interesting about that is it sounds like that's exactly what the skills you need in order to build your business, right? Like you got to throw yourself out there and people who you don't think I don't know if my product is good enough for this person, or I don't know if I don't know if, well, they may be out of my league for a customer. But being able to actually practice that on your personal life, right? And then pull that into the boardroom as well is kind of awesome. So like that's good advice, both personally and in business wise, for sure.
Connie, do you want to go next? Or
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to say that I have a lot of single friends, or I have single friends. And I remember when I was single. And I remember, that laundry list that you have, like he's got to be look like this and to have this much money and be this, and you like, no, that's not, we get very judgmental out there, right? And so I hear some of and it's always easy because I'm in a relationship now, I can sit back. But I do remember myself, because I didn't get married till I was 35. So, and it's my thing that I always say to people, and I said to myself is, instead of, oh, and he's got to be, what are you offering to this relationship?
Oh, I love that.
Right? Same thing in
Yes.
business. That's why the correlation. How are you? What do you have? What is the best you? What do you have to offer this person here? About who you are. What are you going to share of yourself? And I always say, how am I going to bring my best part forward, both in my business, but definitely in relationships? It's not like, oh, what's he going to do for me? Or is he cute enough? Or it's like, it's not like, am I cute enough? It's not that. It's what am I offering of myself? Who am I going to be? How am I showing up? So I
love that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Preach,
I love that.
preach.
Yeah, that is
Right there.
awesome. Because that right there, I mean, I have a lot of, I have some younger friends that are in their early 30s, and I don't know, they're that laundry list for some of these people. I mean, it's so long.
long.
And I sit back and I think, like, one of them just adopted, well, she got a dog during COVID, and her sister teases her because she's like, oh, this dog is so demanding. She goes, that's because this is the first time you've even shared space with any living being before. And I'm like, that's kind of scary. Like, I mean, thinking about, that, and it is more about stepping back and looking at what can you offer, and that's such a deep correlation to business, because that's where your confidence comes from, is being so clear and having that clarity of what are you offering for others. That is an
Yeah.
awesome point.
So I love both of those things. And I have a few friends who are single, like, that are divorced, right? They were married in their 30s and they've subsequently been divorced. And they're in their tears about, oh, this is so hard with COVID. How do you meet people? Yada, yada, yada. And I have tacitly tried to say, well, you have this list. And if this person doesn't make this list, how are you engaging to know if someone doesn't really profess it on the front side, to know that they could be the one? Like, and so there's that conversation, like, what's this list like? And right now we have to be inventive and creative and connecting regardless. Like, I think in business, we have to be reaching out, finding new ways, doing that. But in life too, the maintenance of our current relationships, to get a referral to a good guy, so to speak, or whatever, good gal, is sort of the same kind of thing has to happen. You have to let people know you're in the market, you're looking for a specific thing. This is your networking, right? To get that referral to the person. But then what are you doing on the connecting part of actually being of value and being of interest and being kind of somebody that they want to be around because they're in the same boat as you potentially. And so it's interesting you talked about going out and experimenting, because when I was in my 20s, I was like Monica. I was like, I am not getting married. I don't have time for this. My mother was crying. When are you gonna have grandchildren? And I was like, I have a life to live right now. And I really was very much like living my life, and you could date me if you understood that I was living my life. Like if I had to be like the docile girlfriend, I was really upfront about it. I was like, not me. I travel, I do this. You can come, we can have fun together. But I really wasn't, because I wanted to get that confidence. I wanted to know what to look for. I wanted to explore the world before I knew I would settle down and have kids and try to be a stable person. Notice, try to be a stable person. So yeah, that's, I tell my daughters that, because kids these days, to your point about those 30-year-olds and this rigidity about what has to be, is so suffocating. When I talk to them, I'm like, okay, take some deep breaths, because I'm reacting so strongly to their like cut offness. I'm like, oh, okay, wait, create space for them, because they can't hear it. Like my daughter's like, can you believe this happened? I was like, yeah, I can. What about, I mean, it's kind of interesting that they tried that. Mom, you're being ridiculous. I'm like, who's the teenager? You know, because they have these strict rules. And so I love both of what you're saying. It's like, show up, be you, show off what you got, so to speak. And, you know, and really be be engaging. So I love
funny
your answers for that.
So I'm gonna share something really quick, because this is crazy. It fits in so well. So I went back to school in my latter 20s to study computer technology, and I was living in Canada. And it was AOL had just created chats. Okay. So we're talking about the digital age, right? I'm aging myself now. It doesn't matter. But you had to get a membership for AOL. So this company out of San Jose, California created this software, and it was free. And everybody in our computer science class had downloaded the software, and it was called Excite. And it was like, we're talking primitive chat software, right? You go into these, rooms that are basically numbered, and they're black. Okay, there's nothing. And if you had a digital camera, you could have an avatar. Here's my point. I met my husband like that. Okay, I met my husband through a chat like that. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't a fancy website. It wasn't a fancy dating site. This was just people popping into a room, and they would chat, and we chatted for back and forth for several months. We decided to exchange phone numbers. I actually got his instead, because I wanted to call block. Okay. We talked on the phone back and forth, and then he did something which was like utterly romantic. He wrote me a letter. And of course, this was before 9/11 as well, but he wrote me a letter, and he said, I want you to come visit me. Here's a ticket, and an all expense ticket to come to San Francisco to see me. So my point being is that both of us were bold, right? So even for the young people that are like, oh, you know, I can't, dating online, COVID, blah, blah, it's still of the heart. You have to take risk. If you're not willing to take risk, no matter what the format is. And I mean, we hadn't even seen each other. I mean, I didn't have a digital camera at the time. We were just listening to each other's voices and everything. And I took the plunge, and I went and saw him. And then after that, he came and visited me in Canada, met my parents, and it was back and forth. And then talk about being committed. I mean, we had to go through a whole immigration process. And there was a period of time when we filled out the papers that it was illegal for me to enter into the United States. And so that whole process was like about almost 2 years before then I could immigrate to the States and be with him on a fiance visa. But that was 2 years of a commitment that started off by just taking the plunge and being online in this very primitive way. And so I think sometimes we have to look at people's hearts too, because I think what worked was we weren't just looking on the outside at pictures.
Yeah.
something else. We were looking on the inside.
So what I heard was you guys were being authentic. And
Oh,
in your authenticity, it came through the typed words and the phone calls and all those things. And our theme of the month is build. You have the right to build authentic relationships, and really, the authentic relationship is the foundation for true success in anything that you want to do.
mm,
And all of these stories and all of this feedback is really kind of that. It's be authentic, be bold, right? And be open to the possibilities of what's out there. Because I heard a lot of get rid of that dang list. Have a general list, and I would say if you have that list, have it be of attributes that you enjoy, right? Like I wanted someone who was honest. I wanted someone who was sincere. I wanted someone who was trustworthy. Those are the lists. I mean, it helped that he had a bald head and goatee a lot. Let's be honest, but it wasn't it wasn't a deal breaker, right? And in the end, when you're being authentic, you're showing up as your authentic self. I mean, my husband and I joke all the time, we would have never dated the people we were 6 months before we met, because we were both a hot mess. We had both done some inner work for ourselves, so that once we met each other, we were actually prepared to receive the interestingness that is each of us, because everyone comes to the table with their own quirks, and in a relationship you have to be comfortable with those quirks. And so doing that inner work and really building a solid foundation of relationship in your romantic relationship can actually lend to business success. I mean, you have 4 women here who are strongly supported by our romantic partnerships, and our businesses probably would not be where they are today without those people who've partnered in life with us. So we could literally talk about this all day. It's a juicy topic, and you guys have been so gracious to be so open and honest and forth bringing with your own personal experience. But we have this segment called the hot seat, and I want to get into it. We have a question that came to us from Don in Dallas, and his question is, how can I create separation of work and home life so that I can enjoy the company of my wife during this pandemic? So we're really talking about balancing your relationships and your business. And so ladies, what advice do you have for Don on how he can create a separation of work and life, considering we're all kind of stuffed in the same house, in the same space, during this really difficult time in the world? Let's start with Kat this time.
I know that we're trying, what my husband and I have tried to do is pick either a time in the day, like in the evening, where we wind down together and we chat. And one of the things, even though there's not, I mean, things have opened up a little bit, but we're still being, cautious. We're trying to, do that thing of like really spending that, going on a date, right? It doesn't matter even if it doesn't matter what kind of date. It's just having that together time. And it doesn't necessarily need to be for hours and hours. I think that that's the key too. It's about taking those moments here. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning, it's 10 minutes here, and then maybe a larger period of time, like once a week or something. But it will help you to parse out your day and your week and your time if you are committed to those little pieces. It also keeps everything moving. So that's what we try to do.
Connie?
I think, what Kat was saying, I think you have to definitely find specific time, whether it's you wake up in the morning and have coffee, 15, 20 minutes. And here's the crazy part. We all know this. You don't need hours and hours, right? You need 15, 10 minutes when you're really focused on that person. If I say breakfast or go out for a walk in the morning or a run, whatever you do physically together, something in the evening, you can make a date night. And again, in your home, even with kids, I mean, I have my 2 adult children living with me, and you find a place in your, in your home outside and make a nice dinner for one another and share again, maybe some time on the weekend, go out for a drive if that's available to you, but really make specific time where you put your phone away, you put everything away, and even if it's you run them a bubble bath and you know, give them a massage. I mean, you do something maybe outside of your wheelhouse that's really special for that other person, so you can have that time. I think it's really allotting that time and then just focusing on that other person.
Andrea.
Okay, sounds like the Amen choir. Here I come. So, absolutely. I think not taking for granted that we do have this time that we're all together. Like I really woke up and was like, this isn't half bad one day. And I was like, oh, they're gonna call me a Pollyanna again. But like my husband's in this thing where he's from Italy, right? And so he's who he is an Italian, right? And so every morning it's become a ritual now, whether I want it or not. I get my little espresso, and I like the days I don't get it, I'm like sniffing around, like, why is the coffee not going? But it's just that even that little transaction right there just makes my day now. And I realized how cute it was that it makes my day. And it was one he thought up. And then I'm the one that's like, let's have a date night and let's do this. And we try to build in time, especially to do something we physically like, because we're so in the house and we're so sitting here on Zoom. So we make a conscious effort on the weekends, for me to get away from my computer, because he's like, it's getting a little excessive, Andrea. You have more virtual friends than real ones. I'm like, I know. He's like, he wants me to break up with my business wife, Monica. Anyway, no, he doesn't. He loves Monica, but he's like, never. But, really making special time for him. Like you said, the bubble bath, just something different, because we could be taking each other for granted even in this space. And I think to make our lives more joyful, we've begun to make little things very much special things like that. It's my morning little, macchiato is like life for me. Like, and when I'm kind of pouty all day, till he goes and makes me one. Or, just carving out time, telling the kids we're going to go do this. So we definitely try to get on a walk just to talk and just connect, because we didn't talk all day. Or we'll get up in the morning, see you at 6, meaning that's the time we're going to walk, because we know we're going to be on calls like all day long. So definitely scheduling it. Scheduling is just the key to life, after eating right and exercising. Sorry.
As a part of the Amen Corner, my husband and I never stopped our Friday night dates. So even when we were in real life, we would have Friday night dates. When we got quarantined and we were in your house life, we would do our favorite dates were always at home anyway, like, to be honest. Having a drink and listening to music is one of our favorite things to do, because we have 11 years difference between the two of us. And so our game is, where were you when this song came out? And it's always funny. It's always funny. Because it's like, I was in elementary school, I was in college, like, so there's always this really fun banter. But having a meal with some alcohol and hanging out in our house was great. But what was interesting was, for a little while there, we were concerned about our daughter being kind of not being able to go to school and seeing her friends. And so we stopped doing day nights. And she came in the room and she's like, what's today? And we were like, oh, it's Saturday. And she's like, you guys didn't have date night. And it was so ritualistic for us to have date night that she was setting her own clock by it. Like, this is what needs to happen. Because, we had been so good at having our Friday night date nights. We had told her, like, hey, Friday night is mommy and daddy day. You can do, you got all the rest of our time, but Friday nights is our time. And so we really protected that time throughout being in real life. And so when we were in quarantine, she was like, I'm gonna need you guys to get back in that date night, because that was my time. Like, that was her time to basically veg and not have parents bothering her about anything. So I'm really kind of like taking the time to quit at the end of every day, right? Actually scheduling a time off. I know it's hard to do, but I try and set a time. Well, now I'm doing international business, so that's kind of changed. But when I had the opportunity to stop at 6 p.m., 6 p.m. was my cutoff. I wouldn't do any work after 6 p.m. because that needed to be time for me to, like, kind of relate back to myself, but two, for me to have a conversation with my husband and find out how his day went. Because although we were in the same house, we didn't actually see each other all day because I was in virtual space with Andrea and all of our other virtual friends working. And so really kind of carving out that time, the schedule is super important. Well, that is all that we have time for today. I am like this was so much fun, and I could literally do this with you guys all day. So those of you who are watching this, if you have any questions, next week we are going to be off because it's Labor Day, so you can rewatch one of our old videos. However, we will resume our live on the other side of Labor Day. But if you have any questions about how to keep your staff employed during this pandemic, right? We're going to kind of start diving into human resources and how to keep our businesses afloat. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to DM us or go to minklifemotivation.com / Mink Life Motivation Live, and answer and ask us your questions, your burning desire questions of what you have. We would love to hear from you. So next up, we have our announcements. I always love to give our guests an opportunity to be able to share what they got going on in their world, because it's super important for you to stay connected, for you to know how you can connect with these awesome people. I didn't bring them to you for nothing. I want you to use them. I want you to go to them. I want you to use their services. So Connie, tell us what you have going on in your world.
Well, to get my daily workouts that come to your phone, and again, they're pretty short and easy, just text the word self-care, SELF-care, CARE, to 26786. And then you can sign up, you put in your name and your email, and it just gets shot to you. On there, if you want to ever join me in my virtual class, there's a way to link into my virtual class. And Monday nights, I teach meditation at 6:30 every night. And then from there, you'll be able to join my membership site, which is open September 15th.
Yes, and I actually do get Connie's emails, her text messages every day, and they're delightful. So if you get a chance to sign up for that, absolutely do it. It's amazing. And sometimes when I actually have like a little moment, I'll go and I'll watch one of the little things, and it's great. So definitely take advantage of that. Okay, Kat, what do you have going on in your world?
Well, I'm actually, today filling in for also Lori Dixon, and she is such a beautiful friend and mentor. And we are part of a group called the Sobona Sister Gatherings. And so we have a retreat coming up. It's an online retreat on September 20th. It's called BUYOUT full, FULL. So we're going to be that whole day. We're having a chef come in. We're going to be giving out a box to people in advance so that they can interact with us online. And it's all going to be about being full and being full within oneself. Lots of fun things to do. And then we also have October 1st. Sobona means I see you. And we are going to be starting a live streaming our new show called I See You through, you can go to our website. The website, I'm going to spell it. It's www and then it's Sobona. It's spelt SAWUBONA sister.com. And then we have our FB group, which is Sobona Sister Gatherings on FB. And very exciting. It's going to be a great retreat.
Nice. I'm excited because me and Andrea are going too.
Yay! Awesome.
No,
That's so
I told her about it. I was like, we got to go to this. We got to go to this.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
I was like, okay, I'm coming. So no, I'm really like, I'm going to be texting that little 26786, correct?
Oh yeah, can you say that again?
Yes, please go ahead.
Your text.
Sure. 26786, and just text the word self-care.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
So you Kat, come on now. So let's see. In Mink Life World, we are getting ready to go on our live intensive for our influence networking, like influence boosting. And there's a whole series. It's a 2-day online class that we're going to be holding for that. So that's coming up. And then as the person in...
Well, I have it here somewhere. Oh, I thought I had it. I guess I took it down.
Okay,
Sorry.
So And so we have a bunch of things. You could go back to the class we're having tomorrow too. I have that announcement, right? So
Oh,
we
Mhm.
also are offering a free class for the Life Calibrator so people can check out how we work and what we're doing this Tuesday and possibly Thursday. Things are creeping in, Monica. I have to talk to you, coordinate about Thursday, but definitely tomorrow we're going to be exploring that. And I'm really looking forward to sharing one of the key roles from the Life Calibrator as our community class. And we are going to be building into from the networking part, we are looking to license some trainers. So that's an announcement coming soon from the Mink Life universe. So
what time is that
Absolutely.
going to be at?
tomorrow is at 4 o'clock Pacific time,
Perfect.
and it will be fun. I will be there.
4 to
So,
6.
Awesome.
4 to 6.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, and you'll get to do a complete action plan for your whole being. So it's going to be exciting.
fun.
So the announcement calling all dynamic speakers. We are getting ready for our conference, and I'm going to have a special announcement actually next Monday about our next conference and what it's going to be about and the theming, and I'm super excited about it. But in the meantime, if you are a dynamic speaker and you want to be a part of Mink Life Motivation Live, or our conference, we would love to hear from you. So you can go to minklifemotivation.com and or Mink Life University and sign up to be a dynamic speaker. We would love to hear from you. And like Andrea said, we have our Life Calibrator that you can try for free. But in the wrapping up of all of this, I wanted to kind of shout out what's happening, not next week, but the following week of Mink Life Motivation Live. We are really going to dive into how to leverage humans as resources. So whether you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a small business owner, you have people that are a part of your team, and we want to help you leverage them better. So we will be discussing that the next time we get together. And that is all a part of our Maximize Your Business segment. So get ready for that. Mark your calendars. That is September 14th. And I want to say thanks to everybody who's been involved in this. This is my favorite slide, guys, of all the pretty slides that I've made. This one's my favorite. So I'd like to thank our guests, Connie, Kat, and Andrea today for being a part of all of this. And I want to remind all of you that you have the power to activate the vision within. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, have a wonderful day, everybody.